Over the summer, we've been lucky enough to meet quite a few people who had a look around our van, and they've asked us, what are we doing about our ceiling? Now the ceiling is curved, it's white, and we wanted to transform it into a slatted ceiling. One with many, many slats. Maybe too many. So we've got this finished now, I've got a couple of spare cable ends here to run my LED strip light. Using 3mm packers, I ran some 10mm profile down both sides of the ceiling. Basically, I wanted to frame the slatted ceiling, and you'll see how the effect of this works later on. And so now what we have is a light switch here I can switch off. And imagine if it was the other way around. When you're coming into the bus, down here, a switch that can come on when you turn it off at the other end. But that's in, so now we're ready to get started with the ceiling. We did toy with leaving the ceiling just like this because it doesn't look too bad, and then having some strip wood go over where the screw holes were as well as along the middle. But actually what we're going to do as a twist on the current trend of a slatted ceiling, usually when people do a slatted ceiling they'll go for a piece of wood that's a couple of inches to 3 inches sort of wide. We're doing it slightly differently. Essentially we've got 2 sheets of 15mm poplar ply here that we've had ripped into 1-inch strips, and we're going to apply this gold poly-X oil because we did a test about a year ago and liked what colour it turned it, so hopefully we will now.
So we think we're going to roll it on and then rag it off.
I think it's the quickest way to get a even coverage,
but we will let you know if this is the best way or not.
Basically, we had 3 bits of wood at a time, put them lying next to each other, rollered it, flipped them over, did the other side, then rollered the edges, and then Rich wiped it on down with a cloth after. And how many have we done?
We've done 42, so we figured out that we need
38?
38 if like for the full width, but it's not, obviously it gets thinner as it goes in, so we don't think we need 38. But 10% more because we're bound to mess some up, and some have got a bit battered in there and some are a bit bent.
We've got more anyway, but we're nearly out of oil, so we're going to save that last bit.
Maybe use it for another project if we don't need it for this.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like when we lined with plywood, the first part of the battle is actually finding the centre of the ceiling. So I popped a piece up on double-sided tape and measured it, but I couldn't quite get it right, so I ended up cutting up smaller pieces and measuring that from side to side. Again, sticking those up so I could put the middle piece up temporarily to make sure I got it right. I'm pretty sure it's central. And what I tried to do is stack pieces one next to the other just to check. So Dave, bless him, has done me a whole sheet and almost proven that it will work. But my brain doesn't work like that, so I've made a jig. So I cut up lots of pieces of 10mm ply, and then what I've done is stack them together, and I've made this. So you can see here, this is obviously will be the spacer, a 10mm spacer, because I'm just going to use the plywood as a spacer. And then if I put that in here, I can see that that's going to fit. I can move it all the way along to check that it will. The other thing I can check, still going to be touch and go, I think it's going to work. Along here, off this spacer here, I can see that that piece of wood's going to run in front of there, so the space is almost aligned with this. Likewise over this side, from this piece of wood, I can see that that's going to run along there. Hopefully the wood can just run in straight lines past there, along the front of there with a gap. Nice straight lines if the jig's right. The next thing I'm going to do is make the end pieces, so I know that where it's going to terminate. The middle one's up, so yeah, I've just got it going down over the skylight, and then what I'll do is cut around that last, and that way I know it's going as straight as possible down the end. This first afternoon was just all about getting the first few bits up and straight. I'm just going to pack up for today, but we made a good start. Have a think about these trickier bits. I've got a few up, as I said. I'm going to carry on and fill out the rest of the ceiling. So when I put them up, I'm putting them straight across to make sure that they're straight on the other side. I'm going to cut this now because this bit here needs to be kind of recessed out. So I'll have a strip going down there, and then when the Max Air fan cowl goes back over it, you won't see it, but I need to obviously cut it to go around that bit, I think. Or do I? Because the Max Air goes up into there. I don't think I do, but I'll let you know later when I put the cowl back on. I don't think I need to. Real time thinking there. Dangerous. Having the stockpile of plywood was a blessing really, because it meant that I could put one piece up, one after the other. After a while, getting into a bit of a system. Safe to say, I was really glad I had the nail gun for this project. Made it light work. About halfway through, or just past halfway, I'm just going to cut out around the skylight. Obviously we've got way more slats than most other van ceilings I've ever seen done really. It's going to be a little bit different, and obviously we've not painted the ceiling black either, we've kept it white, but because we've only got a 10mm gap between them all, it has created like a shadow gap, albeit one that's a bit brighter, which, you know, our van, we wanted it to be anyway. I've just been pinning them up. That seems to be working pretty well. Was going to glue them. I decided against that in the event that I wanted to change it or move it in the future. We'll see how that goes. I've pinned it fairly evenly all the way along. Yeah, technique is piece of this plywood on its side, butt it up against it, cut, fill the gaps and move on. And then basically I've been then taking the off cut, then taking it one end, working all the way along, working it back basically in zigzags all the way along, and then that way we're using the wood hopefully in the most efficient way. But yeah, I'm going to chop this out and then move on to the other side. I used my little Japanese pull saw to just remove the inside bits for here, and then moved on to doing the other side using exactly the same technique. Up here you can kind of see where I've gone out of square when I created this by about half a centimetre from this end to the other end. And then what that has meant is when I put the piece in there, it's actually going to be a pinch point. So I'm going to have to notch that out from 0.5 up here down to 0. And then I might have to do it on the next piece as well to make it kind of look like it would carry on into the bathroom, if that makes sense. It wouldn't be so tricky if I'd actually got that square, but it's difficult. Building a bus is difficult. Here's a bit more footage of the technique I used. Turning a 10mm bit on the side. You can see a bit here, a bit more of an overhang, which I chopped off with the pull saw. Yeah, this isn't taking it. I've only been at this for a couple of hours, but I procrastinate terribly. So yeah, down there you can see that I've cut out around there now. I'll put that cowl up in a minute. Let's get this last bit finished. But yeah, anyone else procrastinate, let me know down in the comments, because I do terribly. Yeah, terribly. In my defence, I did decide to use a hacksaw to make my cuts, because I just found it a bit more accurate, and it meant less wastage because the blade is just much thinner. I managed to get a really good and tight fit between each of the battens using the 10mm plywood on its side. And the technique was really quite straightforward, just sliding it along, tacking it at even points to make sure that I wasn't going to get any sag. No one wants a bit of sag, let's face it. Oh, looking a bit dishevelled. One of the final things I'm going to do is just fill all of these holes where the pins have gone through. You can't actually see them very well from sort of this angle, but I know they're there, so I'm just going to fill them in with this. It's taken a while, and oh my god, my neck, it's like Crick City, and I'm hoping that this will all rub off. This actually looks super gnarly when you put it on. I actually was really worried that it wouldn't sand or rub off or would take the oil with it. I've been building this in total isolation. Kelly's not seen it yet, and I'm not sure it looks nicer than it did before. I think it does. Yeah, it's definitely different. Oh, if I get down here, I can show you. Certainly slatty, slat-tacular. Come and see what you think.
Oh, it looks lush. It looks so different.
I know, it does. Do you like it?
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Oh, I think it looks well nice.
I sent it to my brother. He said it looked like a sauna.
Yeah.
Is that good or bad, isn't it?
No, I think it looks smart. I like it. I think it's cute.
It's good then, it's not a wasted effort.
No, it's nice.
Good.
It makes the ceiling look more straight, but then you can see like the curved bits at the side, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, and it's terminated with the lights.
Yeah.
So it kind of works. So there we are. One finished ceiling. Let us know what you think down in the comments. Thanks as always for watching. Take care.